79 injured following disputed reports of a shooting incident about 1 kilometre from the newly established Israeli-backed and US-run aid distribution centre in Rafah. Who's responsible for the killing remains deeply contested. Witnesses claim Israeli forces opened fire on the crowd travelling to collect aid in the early hours of Sunday morning.
زي ما قالوا في مساعدات وكل شيء والمعروف نمرق على 5:30 ما كنا قاعدين نقدم ندور على جهة البحر ومطع بس ايش الطخ كان كثير يعني اجت الكاب طرقت فيش اليوم مساعدات واطلاق تخبط في الناس والبارجة صارت تخبط اطلاق كبير بتفقع زي القنابل.
This video obtained by the BBC shows what it says is people carrying aid past dead bodies on the beach. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation said it delivered aid without incident early on Sunday. It released these pictures from just after 5 a.m, denying accounts of chaos and casualties around its sites, which are in Israeli military zones. The IDF denied it fired at people near or within the aid centre and shared these drone pictures from a different location in nearby Khan Yunis, which it says shows armed people firing at crowds travelling to collect aid.
I urge you not to believe every rumour spread by Hamas. We will investigate each and one of those incidents and each and one of those allegations.
Gaza officials posted a statement on Telegram accusing Israel of using aid as a tool of war.
What are we watching here? Well, the United States-based Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is denying any deadly attacks occurred at 2 of their distribution sites in Gaza. The group released this video today that it says shows that aid distribution at a hub in Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip with no incidents. Now, GHF, that's the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, says security camera footage shows a crowd of Palestinians at the site, some carrying bags, and a number of men moving around, wearing what appear to be security guard uniforms. Gaza government officials say Israeli tanks opened fire on thousands of civilians gathered at a distribution site in Rafah on Sunday morning, killing at least 31 people, and over 170 people were wounded. At least one person was killed in a shooting at a similar distribution point south of the Netzarim corridor in Gaza City. Israel's military said in a statement its forces did not fire at civilians near or within the site here. But take a look at this. This is drone footage released by the IDF. You see this was captured earlier Sunday. It reveals armed and masked individuals hurling rocks and firing at Gazan civilians, attempting to collect looted humanitarian aid. This is in southern Khan Yunis. Hamas, obviously, they say, is a brutal and murderous terror organization that is starving the residents of Gaza. That was the IDF saying that. Hamas, they say, is doing everything in its power to prevent the successful distribution of food in Gaza. Now, I want to put up this. This is a statement by the IDF. They say this. They say false reports have been spread in recent hours, including serious allegations against the IDF regarding fire toward Gazan residents in the area of the humanitarian aid distribution site in Gaza. Findings from an initial inquiry indicate the IDF did not fire at civilians while they were near or within the humanitarian aid distribution site, and that reports to this effect are false. They say the IDF is cooperating with the GHF and international aid organizations in order to enable the distribution of aid to Gazan residents and not to Hamas. The IDF calls on the media to be cautious with information published by the Hamas terror organization, as proven in many previous incidents. The IDF also put out this video on social media, also rejecting these claims. Let's listen.
I'm here in the city of Rafah. Right behind me, you can see one of the distribution centers we opened in the last few days. So far, we opened 4 distribution centers, and we are intending to open more of them. We already launched or distributed more than 16,000 packages of food to the people, in addition to more than 1,000 trucks already entered Gaza, loaded with humanitarian aid. Hamas is doing his best, is almost to stop us from doing so. He is spreading rumors, fake news. He's trying bluntly and violently to stop the people of Gaza from reaching those distribution centers. I urge you not to believe every rumor spread by Hamas. We will investigate each and one of those incidents and each and one of those allegations. We are professional military, and we will do our best in order to dismantle Hamas, to release our hostages, and to spread the population of Gaza from Hamas and from Hamas leadership.
Centers here, and Israel gets blamed. Do we know what's going on? The IDF is strongly rejecting the claim that they are responsible for this. Do we know who this was? More than 30 Gazans were killed trying to get looted food.
Right. So again, I'll first off, I'll start saying by saying it's always a pleasure to be on. But yeah, it's unfortunately we don't know for sure, right? We saw some evidence, right, that you showed just a moment ago, but it's essentially it's Hamas saying that Israel killed Palestinians, and it's Israel saying, well, no, we didn't. But I think the important point here is that Israel is correct when, especially the IDF, when it says that Hamas, right, does not want to see Palestinians use this new mechanism, right, to deliver aid, because essentially or effectively what it does, it takes power away from Hamas, the leverage that Hamas has over Palestinians. So, and Hamas doesn't want that, right? But it's not enough to say, all right, or to prove that Hamas was involved here, that they fired on Palestinians collecting food or aid. So again, it just boils down to what Hamas is saying, what the IDF is saying. However, at the end of the day, again, I have to say is that it's in the interest of Hamas for Palestinians not to collect food, all right, from these new sites, from this new mechanism. So it's really tough to say, unfortunately. Right now, I think we just need more evidence.
So, Joe, obviously over the last 75 days on the international stage, Israel was roundly condemned for preventing any aid from going into Gaza. Seeing this all play out right now, could you understand or at least grapple with their reasoning for why they weren't doing that when they get blamed for something like this?
Right. It's understandable. At the same time, I think when Israel cuts off aid to the Gaza Strip, we must understand it's not to damage, the intent is not to damage or hurt the civilian population. It's to hurt Hamas, all right? And Hamas and its allies, by the way. Its allies such as Palestinian Islamic Jihad and other armed terrorist groups who are fighting with Hamas against the IDF. Again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Hamas and its allies, they leverage the aid, all right? Not only do they use the aid over the civilian population, but they take the aid for themselves too. So what Israel tried to do here is essentially take that away from Hamas. Now, it replaced it with this new mechanism, right? With this new foundation that's distributing aid, which is great. But the problem here, as we've seen and as we've heard, is that the international community, or rather the Palestinian population, also suffers too because of this, right? Yeah. So there is some reason, I think, behind the international community's statements against Israel. However, I think the biggest point here is that it's not to hurt the Palestinian population. What Israel's trying to do is defeat a terrorist organization, and that's specifically Hamas.
Monday CRM.
It's called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or JHF, a joint project of the U.S. with security provided by Israel. In just 5 days, this group has distributed nearly 4 million meals to the people of Gaza.
It is a tremendous and vital threat to Hamas's control over the population.
Jonathan Conricus of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies tells CBS News for nearly a year and a half, Hamas has stolen, stockpiled, and sold international aid to their own people at exorbitant prices.
The only thing that Hamas still has is domination and control and oppression of the civilian population in Gaza. And they do that through using international aid as leverage over the population.
Conricus says Hamas has manipulated the humanitarian aid to make it appear Israel is to blame for the lack of food inside Gaza, not Hamas. Just days ago, Gazans broke into this massive Hamas warehouse full of aid.
These are crucial times for Hamas, and I've been on record saying that I think Hamas will stop at nothing. They will first attack, they'll do information and disinformation. They will try to intimidate Gazans, and they will use all of their allies around the world, UN organizations, useful idiots in Western countries, and other entities that will do their bidding for them.
Early Sunday morning, Hamas claimed IDF soldiers killed more than 30 Gazans and wounded many more at a GHF distribution center. Global media outlets, including CNN and the BBC, ran banner headlines on the claim. The IDF says it did fire some warning shots more than a half a mile away from the aid distribution site, but said it didn't fire at Palestinians at that location. Later, the JHF released security camera footage from the time of the alleged massacre that revealed no shooting at the distribution center.
Hamas is doing his best, is almost to stop us from doing so. He is spreading rumors, fake news. He is trying bluntly and violently to stop the people of Gaza from reaching those distribution centers.
Meanwhile, Hamas is asking for several amendments to the U.S.-backed ceasefire and hostage release deal, including Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Witkoff calls the Hamas response, quote, totally unacceptable.